Welcome back to the table here at Mackinac Island. It is the 2025 Mackinac Policy Conference. Let's talk a little bit about Michigan's energy future, right? When we are talking about mobility, when we are talking about the next generation of workforce, it is going to look like a lot of demand on energy, and it has to be part of the conversation. Lauren Snyder is Vice President of Customer Experience at Consumers Energy, here to dig in on what Michigan's energy future is going to look like and how we predict for it. Laura, welcome. It's really good to have you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, so my understanding is that for decades, really, we sort of had this sense in the States about how much energy use we were going to use.
Yeah.
And even as it increased because
Yeah.
of renewables, it's kind of stayed the same.
Pretty flat.
And now we have data centers
We do.
and AI and
Yes.
just massive amounts of energy demand. What has that meant for the changing future of energy in Michigan?
It's such an exciting time. It really is. I mean, we are seeing growth opportunities like we haven't seen in a lifetime. And so we have a great pipeline of interest coming from data centers. We also have semiconductor interest and then manufacturing. And so some really great opportunities, and we're ready. We're ready to serve.
Well, tell me what that looks like when you say opportunities. I think of like demand.
Oh, yeah.
How are you preparing? Because obviously you're thinking about it.
We are. And so you can count on this. We are here to serve reliably and affordably. And as we look at this demand and we get into deeper conversations with these potential customers, we have a better sense of their ramp up time. Nothing is happening tomorrow. And if it did, we would figure out how to solve. But as we look up the ramp up time, it allows us to incorporate that into our scenario planning. We call it our integrated resource plan. And it really helps us understand what kind of supply resources are needed to make sure we meet the demand of these customers.
So what does this look like in the next, I was going to say 5 years, but it just
Yeah.
feels like
Right,
it's
yeah.
changing so dramatically. I mean,
Yeah.
is it a 1-year plan? Is it a 5-year plan? What does that look like?
Well, we are constantly looking at it, honestly, daily, weekly, monthly,
Yeah.
and evolving. But it's a multi-year plan that we file with the Michigan Public Service Commission. It includes a lot of different stakeholder input, and it's the plan that we work. And we're constantly making sure that we're adjusting as we need to. There's
Yeah.
flexibility in that.
And tell me the role of renewable energy, because that is
Yeah.
something also that's dramatically changed over the decades.
has.
And the sense of being able to, use solar. I mean, like, how does that fit into what you are predicting for the future in terms of use and demand?
Sure. And so in the plan that we have, it calls for solar and wind. We will also have batteries, a part of that portfolio, along with gas plants. And that mix allows us to dial things up, dial things down, to meet the demands of our customers.
Yeah. And how does the grid fit into all of this,
Yeah.
right? Because you hear so much about the smart grid and how we can
Oh,
be
yeah.
adaptable. But I mean, that must play a massive role if we're going to be smarter about energy use and reliability.
It does. So I want to talk to you about reliability.
Yeah.
We are deeply committed to making sure that we get better in the space of reliability. That's the number one thing residential customers, business customers
Sure.
care about. And so we have made an ambition of 24 hours or less. No utility is making that kind of ambition. And that requires us to think differently about how we make sure we can solve for that. So think about more tree trimming. Trees are the number one reason that we experience outages. Think about the storms that we've had this year. We've had 20 tornadoes. Extreme weather is real, and we've got to make sure our grid can sustain those types of issues. And so we're doing more tree trimming, more undergrounding. As you could imagine, the wires, right? When the trees fall, the wires come down. That's what causes the outage. Getting more underground. And then also hardening the grid, having infrastructure in place using technology so that we can contain outages when they happen that has minimal impact on customers.
Well, as we're talking about unpredictability in terms of energy use and demand, I mean, weather and climate is
Yeah.
one of them. And it
It
feels
is.
like we hear now about 100-year storms
I know.
happening yearly. The hottest years on record. How does
Yeah.
that feed into and play into the use of energy and what
Yeah.
you have to prepare for.
Well, so we talked about our reliability, and we call it our reliability roadmap, and that's all about making sure we are building both a reliable and resilient grid. The other aspect of this is customers, usage, right? We have a great portfolio of products, energy efficiency products, that we want customers to use less of our products, and it's a great savings opportunity for them too. That creates less demand on the system, they see bill savings, and it's clean, so it supports both reliable and clean service.
In all of this too, we've got to talk about EVs,
Oh,
right?
yes. We love EVs.
Well, but I mean, tell me how that works right now when we're talking about demand and we're talking about
Yeah.
the grid, when everyone's getting home and plugging in
Yeah.
after work. I mean, what
Yeah.
does that look like for you all?
Well, so what we try to do with the programs that we have is encourage people to charge overnight. That's when we have the least demand on our system. And that's when you come in and charge, that's like when your gas tank gets fully ready to rock in the morning. And for most customers, you don't need to charge again until that evening time. So we're able to level off the load by having people charge overnight.
There was an announcement from the Department of Energy this week about keeping open a coal plant here
Yeah.
in Michigan, basically saying it's an energy emergency. It needs to stay open. This is yet another instance of where sort of unpredictability can play into the market. What does this Department of Energy announcement mean, and how do you work this into your planning?
Yeah, great question. And so we believe we have a very solid, reliable plan for Michigan. We wouldn't do anything to compromise that. So this order is reflected of the MISO footprint, so that's multiple states within the Midwest. And so we're going to comply with that order. It's a 90-day order. We just had coal delivered 2 days ago. We're getting our teams back ready to rock for the next 90 days, and we'll comply.
What happens after the 90 days?
We wait to hear from the Department of Energy.
Yeah. I'm curious, as you sit in your position, you must look at other states across the country. Are there other regions or states that we can look to and go, yeah, they're doing it right? Like, this is a model.
Michigan, we're doing it right. I really believe that.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
We've got great policies. We've got a great regulatory environment. At Consumers Energy, we're deeply committed to customer. It's at the center of the work that we do, decisions that we make. It is through that lens.
Yeah.
So Michigan.
That's the answer. And that
the
is Laura
answer.
Snyder, who is Vice President of Customer Experience at Consumers Energy. Laura, thank you.